Always impresses me, this photo. I mean, what a setup that is. Obviously, it's for a Subbuteo magazine, so Subbuteo would have had access to all their resources to be able to build it. But I mean, look how smooth that pitch is for starters. I don't know what they did to get it like that. And then you've got all the accessories, of course, them awesome goals there, the fences, and of course these stands. I think they got like 5 by 3 there, which is generally the measure of a Spectators pitch, 5 foot by 3 foot. Uh, I mean, but if you were trying to build this at home, it really would take some doing because, as you all know, a single set of these stands is quite expensive. So it's overall very impressive to look at. However, looking a bit sort of closer at it, what's more impressive is the number of spectators we got there. Now, anyone that's filled any sort of Subbuteo stadium, whether it's a official Subbuteo one or one they built themselves, knows how much effort that takes. You can buy the Zuego fans and leave them sort of coloured as they are, but they're all sort of higgledy-piggledy. They're all different colours. So if you want a stadium that represents your home fans, you've really got to paint them yourself. And that's what I'm going to try and do this evening. Hello, welcome back to Spectators Tabletop Football, where, as mentioned, today we're going to do a bit of painting of Spectators. Now, it's been quite a while since I did any painting of anything to do with Subbuteo. I have previously painted a small section of my fans. This is them. So they're the ones I painted. Come on, Rovers, come on, Rovers. Now, I was just looking around, and the ones with the yellow sash on, see that fella at the front? Let's move down to him. There's a few of them dotted about, and I definitely painted them myself as well. So mixed in, he's fell over. Was he pissed or what? Now, although I did paint those that little sort of section myself, most of the fans that are in Spectators Stadium were painted by a paid painter. So, in particular, S66 Owls, who I'm sure many of you will know from eBay, he paints spectators and support staff in bulk, and you can buy any amount of pretty much any team you want from him. Now, that's great, and it's a brilliant service he offers to get you going. But if you're trying to fill up a large amount of seats in the stadium, it is going to start getting a little bit costly. And you've got to sort of weigh up where you want someone else to paint those spectators for you, or whether you're prepared to put a bit of time in and get some painted yourself. Now, I've got a few spectators, which we'll have a look at in a minute, that I'm going to paint you up today. And I want to really, the aim of this is to get a bit of a production line going on so I can sort of battle through them. The reason I haven't painted them before is basically because I just get my hair off of it. In fact, there's three sort of main reasons, right? So I suppose it's the ease of ordering them off someone like S66 Owls, and there's other spectator painters out there as well. Also, my eyesight, although it's always been pretty good, in fact, it's always been 2020. In recent years, anything near 2 has become a bit difficult to look at. So if I'm looking at anything, certainly, have I got any Subbuteo figures out here? Oh, here's some broken Argentina ones. If I'm looking at anything, and I do appreciate this is a personal problem, no one else is, I can see that there crystal clear. If I put it 10 feet away, I could see it crystal clear. But if I bring it any closer than that, which is generally what you've got to do when you're painting anything, that's right out focus straight away, and it generally goes. In fact, I'll give you the distances. That's where it goes into focus, so I can see that. So if I paint anything, I've got to hold it that distance away. Now that's my problem, I know. And what was the third issue? I can't remember. Let's just get on with it. The third issue, almost demonstrated there a little bit, is of course short-temperedness. So I get incredibly ratty when I'm doing anything fiddly. Now let's have a look what we're dealing with today. So that's what we're here to talk about. First off, I've got a bag of random and already pre-painted fans. Now that's fine for filling up the gaps, and we're going to do something with these ones in a minute, but I don't want them all sort of different colours, so some of them are going to have to get painted in the colours that I want, which is principally blue and white for the Rovers stands, and red and black for the Bows Corner. Next up, we have a bunch of stand-in figures. These were sent in a while ago by Subbuteo Asylum, and they're like just blank figures in different poses. I think it was a bit of an experiment they were practicing with, and I got a bag of these spares that were sent in to have a go at, so we're going to paint them as well. And then the third batch are these oversized ones. These were also sent by Subbuteo Asylum. Good couple of years ago now, maybe 3 years ago. Now the reason he sent these ones because he had no use for them, because they're slightly oversized. So these are like the big lads. I don't know quite how big they are, but they're certainly bigger than the other figures, and we can have a look at that now, and I might just put them in dotted around. They're going to be the giants of Subbuteo fan base. Now, to actually do the painting, we do, of course, need paint, and I've rooted around and found a couple of bits and pieces that we can use. There's some old, remember Games Workshop Citadel paints? I've got a couple of them knocking around. So there's a white there, there's a black wash, and this a red, which we could use for the Bows fans, if that paint is still in the usable condition. I'll be honest with you, these are probably getting on for about 20 years old. Now, much newer than that, and what I used for the previous fans I painted, is these, what are these called? Model colour ones? I think they were called, if you search for them, are they called... Well, let's just say they're called what they're called on the thing. So they're called model colour paints. These are the ones I bought for doing the previous fans, as mentioned, and I've also painted some teams in them. So I've painted a Rovers team, I've painted a couple of other teams. I think I painted a Norwich team once. That's why I've got the green. I've also painted a few national, not full teams, but odd figures. So remember we did Australia and a couple of other people. And we've got a few bits of colours there. And I've also got, I can't remember what I use this for, a little tin of Humbrol enamel as well. No idea what I use that for. Then to finish off, we've got a matte varnish because we're going to be handling them. We don't want the paint just dropping off. And then what's this? This one's like a bit of a ratty old thing. Flesh wash. Getting a bit in depth for that. Probably won't use that. Right, let's be very clear about this from the start. These are not going to be works of art. They're basically going to be somewhat rough and ready because I just want a bit of colour injection filling up those stands. So they're not going to be, you know, the highly detailed, expertly done painted figures that people like Alan Porter would do. These are just going to be, certainly in the Rovers cases, dabbed on quarters so that when you look from a distance, it gives the image. If you looked at them up close, they're probably going to look terrible. But that's not what we're not going for, that high detail in the Spectators, because there's going to be a lot of them there. So it's more about the sort of mass collection of colour, all being somewhat uniform and looking like Rovers fan base, and in Bows Corner a Bows fan base, rather than individual figures looking absolutely mint fantastic. Okay, so I've moved you around, bit of an odd camera angle. You just have to bear with me. What first thing I'm going to do is cut out any unnecessary. So if there's anything in here that is already blue or white or in fact red, they're coming right out because we don't need to do anything with them. So straight away, a couple of blue ones. Let's get rid of them. They look like I might have painted them before back in the day and then just chucked them in here. So we'll sort them out. Right, there, look at that as well. This must include things that I've painted before, because there's like a Rovers scarf that I made. I made a few of them. They're always good, just made out of a bit of plastic. And we've got a couple of other blue ones there. Now, I don't want you sitting there watching this. Oh, there's another scarf. While I sort through this, so there is going to be a third scarf. That's quite good, actually. Making little scarves like that, you only need a couple of them, and it really makes a big difference in the crowd. So I think I will sort these out and get back to you when that's done. I can feel myself putting this off because I don't actually want to do it. This is why I haven't done it in about 3 years. But we have found 11 already blue coated fans there and 4 scarves. So we're going to put them aside. That's 11 down already. Now, I thought what I'd do is tackle the rest of these sort of pre-painted ones before we get onto the completely unpainted ones, because there's a couple of extra stages with them, not least of all, in fact, we'll go through them. So certainly the way I was going to approach them was I was going to go through all these unpainted ones. That might be a different video, where I paint all the faces and hands first, then do like the trousers and shoes, and then finally do the shirts in whatever colour it is we want. But with these ones, obviously, the trousers, I suppose you don't have to paint, you know. If an old man wants to wear pink trousers, hey, it's 2025, he can wear pink trousers. And there's a couple of people here that have got like normal coloured sort of trousers on, well, normal-ish. So really, and because all the faces are painted on these, really all we need to do is paint the coats blue and then decide if we want, or red for Bow's Corner, and then decide if we want any quarters on there. And likewise with the Bow's Corner fans, do we want any black stripes on there? I don't think have I got a black paint? Yes, I have. I've got a black paint, I've got a red paint, I've got a blue paint, and I've got a white paint. All right, let's stop messing around putting it off. I'm going to put this, obviously you don't want to watch me paint all these, so I'm going to put this on high speed, and we can see how many I get through, say in half an hour, or before I get ratty. So that was actually about 15 minutes rather than 30 minutes. And I managed to get a grand total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 painted. And that's just their coats. Oh, God. I felt myself getting riled up. That's why I stopped. Just to have a little drink and calm down a bit. 8 of them done in 15 minutes. And I've got, I don't know how many I've got here. You might have seen on that video. I don't know. Depends how quick I run it. But I was almost getting to the point where I'm searching through the ones that are less complicated. So there's a lot of like little girl or woman ones in here, female ones. And they're quite awkward to paint. I did manage one of them, and then I was sort of shying away from doing them. I'm going to have to do them at some point. Hopefully, when I get round to the bigger ones, they may be slightly easier to do. In fact, what I might do, actually, is I might try a couple of these. So I've got 8 of those sort of small ones. What if I pick, say, 5 of these bigger ones out, and I'll give them a full paint and see how long that takes me. But before we do that, let's have a quick comparison of the size. So thankfully on this work mat, there is actually centimetres on there. So if I put these figures around, we've got a male figure there, and he's just about, probably about 2.5 centimetres high, tall. And then these, the oversized ones, are more like 3 centimetres tall. Now, they may look a little bit sort of out of place on the terrace. I suppose occasionally you do get someone that's very, very tall. But I think they're going to be a lot easier to paint simply because of the size. Or perhaps I've got that wrong. Perhaps it will be more complex to paint. I don't know. Anyway, I think what we'll do is we'll get these 5 of these big lads and we'll paint them up fully. So I've got blue paint on the brush already, so we'll stick with that. We'll paint their bodies blue, paint their legs in try and make some sort of jeans colour. So mix some of the black wash with the blue for jeans, and then we'll paint their faces on and their hands, and then give them some different hair colours, and we'll see how we get on. I'll see how long that takes just to do 5 of them fully. So, it's been a bit of a while because these jeans are taking ages to dry. I think it's because I washed the brush out and a bit of water has got into the paint, so it's taken longer to dry, but they're slowly getting there. Now, in the time it's taken to dry, I've actually painted another one of these. So I've got 2 bare-chested ones. The reason I did that is because the new one that I painted, this fella, he's going to be the Bose kiddie, so I'm going to paint him in red. And I noticed he's got hair on him. And what I wanted to do was have a bit of a skinhead chap with attitude. This is this fella, so he's got no hair. I don't know if you can see on the camera, but he's got no sort of hair on him. So I'm going to leave him sort of bare-chested as a Rovers fan. He's going to stand there with a bit of attitude about him. So that's what he's going to be. But I need to, before I do that, get a bit of white out and paint all their trainers white. Oh, there's another one. What's he doing over there? And also maybe have a bit of an attempt at painting some quarters on the Rovers fans. Oh, I don't know. This is getting tricky. Anyway, that's what I'm going to do next. So doing the quarters is where it goes all wrong for me. I mean, look, come on. No, I'm not happy with that at all. That one's not so bad. I had to re-go over some blue over the white. I don't know, maybe that would dry better. That one, awful. I'm just going to bin him off. So he's not even going to appear anywhere. But no, I think for the others, I'll keep them blue. And then I got one that's, where is he? Is that the bare-chested one? And there's another one. There he is. I'm going to have a go at painting him in Bose colours. Let's see how we get on with that. And I've ended up with this. So, without a doubt, using the same brush and washing it out does have an effect on the paint. Those jeans are still not dry. I painted them almost an hour ago and they still look a bit glistening. The guy in red, who is meant to be the Bose fan, his top is not drying. The rest of them seem to be okay. I'm very unhappy with the quarters. I did do quarters in both ways, you know, white at the top on the left and the right. Bristol Rovers do chop and change from time to time in their history. in the way they have their quarters. But that's what we've ended up with. So there we have it. Me rather boldly at the start of this video saying I was going to paint all these figures. I've ended up with 14 and I'm feeling really ratty about it and very unhappy about the way some of them look. Perhaps that's part of the problem. Perhaps I'm looking at them in too much detail and thinking, you know, trying to sort of get them on a par with things that would do on a sort of macro scale. I don't know, but we're going to have to come back to this and do a part 2 because I want to finish these ones off. But I can't do that tonight. I've simply run out of time. Anyway, oh God, this is going to be on my mind. It's going to be on my mind until I come back to this. But that's all we can do tonight. So until part 2 of this, up the gas.